Hi, I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. It's Britton, and I have a dark moon download for you today. If you're new to Moon, dark moon downloads are a thing that I do maybe half the cycles of the moon of the year. I don't do a dark moon download at the end of every lunar cycle, but I do them enough to really think of it as a rooted series. What I've found is that what comes through in the dark moon downloads, these tend to end up growing into teachings, frameworks, whole courses, like central themes of my work. And so I don't do dark moon downloads if there isn't something that feels really insistent. It has an insistence to it that lands in my body as just knowing that we're going to be recording this and there's nothing that's going to get in the way. And then it's just really, with these, always a matter of sitting down and pressing record and then just sharing how it rolls through me with usually no notes and no real plan, because it's just like there's something that wants to move through me, through my voice, to be shared with you. And this thing is not a thing that I think that I know a whole lot about. If you go back to all my dark moon downloads, they're all emergent shares. Like, I'm sharing what is coming through. I'm not saying I totally get it yet. And it's only then over time that it starts to keep looping through whatever I'm doing in a way that I start to really feel a scaffolding around it. So I find them very exciting because they are like, they feel to me like edge expanders, like I'm at the edges of something that's emerging, and my agreement to come and share here is how I begin to press at and like grope in the dark at these edges of where my work is taking me, where this pathway is taking me next. So there's always like a semi-vulnerable aspect to the dark moon downloads because I'm such a beginner at what I'm sharing. But I trust this process and really enjoy the gift of being able to share what's coming through. And to me, there's a lot of freedom in being a beginner at something And the dark moon downloads are like old wisdom that's coming through in a new baby way. So, and what I mean by that is that at the dark of the moon, we've been through the new moon, we went through the whole waxing phase, we had a full moon, then we began the waning phase, we've had a third quarter moon. The dark moon is this last period where we're soaking in all that the lunar cycle was. And we were just taken on this whole journey. We had this whole epic story. And here at the end, it's like, whoa, I feel swollen with the wisdom that has come through. And I'm aware that this cycle is ending and I will be initiated into this totally new thing with the new moon in Libra. But here under the dark moon in Virgo, I'm saturated with everything that's happened since the new moon in Virgo a month ago. And as you know, if you're listening to this recently, and if you're listening to this out in the future, let me remind you that this was one that had an eclipse with it. And this next new moon in Libra in a couple of days is also going to be an eclipse. So when we're in these belly periods between eclipses, called in the belly because we often frame the eclipses through a picture of the nodes, which is where the sun and the moon connect, the north and south node in the sky. This is why we have eclipses, because then they're close enough that one of the two luminaries' lights will get blocked by either the Earth being exactly between or by the moon moving in front of the sun. In Vedic astrology, the nodes are considered like a dragon head and tail. And so the belly is the belly of the dragon, the belly between these eclipses. So when we're in the belly, everything is like in rapid growth. Like we're learning so much so fast, which is why they're often very activating, and they can feel very spiky, because it's like we're invited into growth in such a rapid pace that it can feel like a lot. So this was one of those lunar cycles that just had a whole lot to it. I expect the next one to have a whole lot to it as well, because it begins with an eclipse. But at least we'll be beyond the belly in terms of pace of wisdom, pace of growth. Yeah, so the idea then for me is that there's some sort of, for me it feels like there's like a release that happens then for me with the dark moon download that closes this cycle. But because I disseminated through the sharing, there's now seeds for more of whatever it is that I share, both through me, because in the sharing of the dark moon download, I now am like committing in some way to this being real, the thing that I share, and not just in my conceptual or imaginal space. But also there's a seeding that happens, seeding, because what I share now is inside of you. And it begins to take hold in your life. And so beyond myself, there's this, like, I'm seeing like a ripple picture, you know? And that feels really exciting to me. It's been a really rich time for creativity in my life. Across this lunar cycle, I have been holding 3 major containers at once. I have my group coaching container, known as Underdog to Diva, which is based on a framing of being magical business people, where whenever you're a beginner at something, you're like an underdog at it. But sometimes as we grow, we realize that some of the contracts that we made as underdogs now need to be updated. And it can be really scary to do that. These updates really tap on our scared inner children, scared younger selves, the shame that we all carry, and being tapped into our divinity, our inherent divinity. Diva is really supportive at helping us update as we navigate the marketplace reality. I call it a marketplace reality to signal that it's a reality and not like the only thing that there is, that we just are stuck inside this like form of economic exchange and have no choice around how we look at it as mystics. As we navigate the marketplace reality as divine beings among divine beings who exchange our gifts for money. So I've been holding that since May, and it's such a joy. Oh my gosh. What's really come through for me is how much I love Q&As. I love being able to be with someone's question and then like feel it inside of me, and then like emergently let my voice carry what comes up for me with that question. And because it's a mystical space, like concept coaching, concept mentoring comes through like a very mystical perception of those relationships, where there's this high trust that everyone's meant to be there, everyone's meant to be there together, and that whatever's emergent for them while they're in the container, like that I'm also learning with them, and what they have the vulnerability and the bravery to bring to the space allows me to support them and remember something about my own truth that is like sort of exponentially healing within the whole of the space. It's a really cool space. And so I've been holding that. I have Emergence Astrology Year 1 that started at the summer solstice and is a whole year. And the first 9 months are called a hermitage because we never meet. I'm creating rituals, meditations, transmissions, teachings for the students to really be holding the space for themselves, the cave space of the hermit, while they are in a period of basically birthing a new self, or like a new way of being, a new sense of identity, a new relationship with reality with the support of the unseen realms and the other side. And that course is where I began teaching astrology as a this side and a that side. And so it's a really wild, funky space because it's very channeled and deeply mystical and a huge, unlearning space vis-a-vis how we think we have to learn and what we think a learning space is for astrology. A lot of creating for that. And then I'm also holding Moon to Moon, which is my 3-month container for intuition, inner child healing, magic, mysticism. It's like my foundational course for I'm hearing Hecateing. Basically becoming someone who can see past, present, future in different directions and dimensions for people who are complete beginners all the way to regular, deep practitioners with magic. And it's named after this podcast because it's my core skills class. And I've been teaching this for years, but I'm creating entirely new content this year. So it's extremely satisfying, I would say, is the word that comes through, because I'm really allowing it to come through in the force of its power in ways that I don't know that I had the self-trust to bring it through quite as potently before. So all this is to say that I'm like a very busy person, but I've been in so much reprogramming around what I think work is and what quote unquote work is, that part of what's coming through for this Dark Moon download is very tied to what I'm learning while being highly creative right now and busy, because I've also been holding the Unshaming the Houses, I've been doing all of these podcasts recordings that to be bringing out to you all fall, and preparing to be in different promos that are upcoming for me, which I'll share more as I go. But the bottom line, what's the phrase? The phrase that's come through for the Dark Moon download is, I am the internet. I am the internet. So let me dive into what this is. What the hell do I mean? What is this? Okay, so I have been, as many of you know, in a channeling mentorship with the psychic medium Mary Gracie, who's been on the podcast twice in 2024. And it's not that I didn't know myself to be channeling before. It's just that I have been in a deeper apprenticeship around it, cultivating more skill, and the showing up of the mentorship has really forced me to turn towards what this skill set is and what this practice is in much deeper ways, because when you've got an appointment on the calendar, there's more of a sense of turning towards. And when you have a teacher, mentor who is also very engaged with a thing, then you have this presence that allows you to anchor into more trust and anchor into more expansiveness and anchor into more power of your own power as you take it basically more seriously. Like, this is the benefit of investing in mentorship programs, mentorship contracts, is you're because you're taking it more seriously, you're going to have way more trust in what's possible. So, meanwhile, first let me just say, so working with Mary has really allowed me to trust that the intelligence of spirit, that the spirit team, the spirit council, the aliens, my home planet family, like, who even knows the intelligence of it, that is made of love and made of compassion, supporting, cheering me on in my human form, like in this incarnation known as Britton LaRue. And they are feeding me what I have asked for information about. They are feeding me what I have asked for information about. Okay, so I have been asking for information from my guides since I first was connected to my guides back in 2017 when I was studying intuitive healing with Deborah Cremens and studied with her for 3 years. She's a medical intuitive. And I did her very small group training. And this changed the course of my life. And I eventually found astrology. And now I'm in the course of my career path because I started studying intuition with Deborah. It was through Deborah that I became connected to my spirit guides. I had never tried or been connected to this notion before. What I knew in terms of like spirit guidance was from when I was a practicing Christian and I would connect with God or Jesus. And in truth, I've always felt that connection. Like, I was a little kid. I was the guide of my own spiritual path growing up. My parents were very hands-off about it. So I've always been a really spiritual person, but I had not encountered mysticism the way I think I came here to be a mystic. So it's not that I've been asking for information from them for 7 years now, and it's been a devotion, and it's been a commitment like nothing I've ever known. Like, I'm very, very committed and very trusting. But through this mentorship with Mary, it was like taking me to new levels of trust that, like, I could ask about something that I don't previously know anything about. Like, I don't know anything about this. I don't have a plan. I don't have an expectation about what I'm going to see. It like new levels, this new levels of stretching my trust. That's what it is. It's stretching my trust. Stretching my trust into the impossible, right? Like moving into new levels of like, but that's not possible. Or like, how can that be? That's not possible. I can't do that. Oh, you're so sure that you can't? Let's see. Sounds like you're not trusting. Do you trust your guides? Being a mystic is about trust. That's what it's about. Trusting yourself and trusting the unseen. And that trust takes time and it takes practice, and nobody can give it to you. But you can have mentors, you can have a community, you can have support. But like these trust edges ultimately are going to have to come from your own commitment. Which to me is what is so cool about it, is because you have to heal in order to do this, because we have so many breaches in self-trust. I mean, the number one consequence of shame is lack of self-trust. So if you want to be a mystic, there is going to be repair. It's part of building self-trust and building trust in that you don't know everything, and there's so much more that we don't know, and that can we really say something is impossible? Can we really say that? This mystical life takes us to these edges where we find out where we still don't, like we just, it's just too hard to believe it. And that's not a problem, but we get to find out. We get to find out. And through the process, you start transmuting the edges so that they get bigger and bigger. And this is how you become an expansive person. Like it's just a very expansive person, because your edges of impossibility are far out away. Like the zone of possibility just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And now you're this expansive person. And this just comes through the practice of showing up, which is no small thing. I am the internet. So I'm doing this with Mary. I'm creating all this stuff. Like emergence astrology is taking me to these levels where I'm I'm often crying because I can't even believe what's coming through me to be shared with the participants. Such beautiful guidance, and I can't pre-plan it. I have to go in and just press record and receive and share, receive and share, receive and share, receive and share. And meanwhile, I was reading I just finished it, Diana Pasulka's American Cosmic. And it's a book on she's a professor of religion, and she has studied like miraculous events and how miraculous events, like say, when saints have these miraculous events and then they become saints that are venerated, how miraculous events shape belief and shape communities of believers. So she went into studying the phenomenon, the UFO phenomenon, the UAP phenomenon, aliens, non-human intelligence, whatever we're going to call it, because the names are shifting around this culturally. She went in like a decade ago she was interested in looking at how UFO, like abduction scenes or contacts or sightings, become miraculous events. And these events shape believers, and these events shape communities of believers. And she was studying the phenomenon as a professor of and a scholar of religion, not because she believes it, but because she's studying the philosophy of how one becomes a believer through these events. Diana Pasulka is an incredible researcher and scholar, and so along the way on this journey, she encountered different human beings who have been impacted by their experience of the phenomenon, whether that's through just personal encounters, and then they become scientists, researchers themselves, who, alongside their legit work in the world as like award-winning scientists, they're also quietly, and not as quietly these days, trying to understand what this is when we don't have cultural and government support to do this research. And also other types of individuals who've encountered it because they work for government agencies, so that they're not allowed to talk about it, but they have witnessed all kinds of wild things. And what's great about her book is she's never asks you to quote unquote believe. And so she earns your trust as a reader. Not that I'm doubting, but there's this aspect of the phenomenon where there's a part of you that like believes it, and another part of you that's like, but that's impossible. But do I really actually? That's what I love about astrology too. What I've always loved about astrology is that it's preposterous. I've talked about this many times. It was the favorite topic of my conversation, Coincidence as a Practice, with my boyfriend, Matt Bull. And I really do think that playing with the impossibility is like the most magical thing. And astrology is a field where you can do this if you would like to. Like, not all astrologers do. A lot of astrologers treat it with the same kind of certainty that we see in dogmatic religions. But I like to play with astrology as a possibility space and not a certainty space. And then the philosophy of the phenomenon, I am now learning. There are some scholars out there who've put incredible work into the world, and this is a field of like the most exciting scholarship I've ever experienced, because the philosophy of the phenomenon takes you into these edges of possibility, impossibility that feel so exciting to my brain and to my spirit. There's a scholar named James Madden whose work is amazing, and also check out Jeffrey Kripal. I'll put those links in the show notes. So Diana Pasulka has this chapter on that's a little bit different than the rest of this book. And what she's doing is she's looking at cognitive science, like cutting edge research in cognition and film theory, like as in movies, and also looking at what we're learning about how researchers of the phenomenon are also studying what's possible in terms of psychic development. Like, there's this whole section in the military for quote unquote remote viewing. Remote viewing is just like a military speak for being psychic. And remote viewers are trained to just see information that then can help the U.S. government know where, like, terrorist groups are hiding. Like, it's wild. But remote viewers are basically psychics that are trusted by our government so we can know things that we otherwise can't see. Which should be impossible, right? Like, how can they see these things? Okay, so this chapter in her book is studying this, and she's linking the way our brains learn to bring in film as actual memory. Like, parts of it we can't fully distinguish the difference. And like the experience of a film can become part of your memory and then part of who you are. Where like something like Star Wars, for example, is part of you. And these are like real. The memories with the film are real to you, you know? And how the phenomenon seems somehow connected to the proliferation of the moving image in photography too, and then has now become even more complex as we think about having the internet, and how the internet is this thing that connects us to all information and to connects us across space-time portals, and collapses boundaries that we thought existed between us and anything. And how this technology is somehow connected to the phenomenon as technology. And I also myself here would bring in astrology from my perspective. Astrology is having both of this side, as in its histories, the way it's been written, and of that side, that side being an aspect of astrology that comes in through personal gnosis, that comes in through plugging into it in a mystical way. So what I'm getting to is I just had this moment, this lunar cycle, reading the Pasulka, doing the Mary Gracie thing, holding these different containers where I'm so busy, but all I do is like press record and I open up and like, there it is. I received it. I shared it. Close, moving on to the next thing, just receiving and sharing. I did my final test with Mary Gracie to close our second round of mentorship, and she had 3 individuals come in. One person I knew from my containers, one person I had read once before with Mary from the last time I did a test to close mentorship round 1, and the one woman who I'd never seen before. And I went into my channel and they each asked me a question on their hearts. And these were extremely personal questions. Extremely like charged questions, like in the zone of what is the meaning of my life type thing. And I had to trust that I was just going to receive words to come out of my mouth to communicate to this person, you know, with my eyes closed. And it happened. And it was deeply meaningful for everyone. And I shared things that were very like what we call in the mediumship world evidential, in the sense that things that came out of my mouth that I had no control, like I was just writing what was being shared with me, that like it was very profound, that it rung true for them as legit because of certain things that I referenced, or that the intelligence referenced through my mouth, which is just a way deeper form of channeling than what I'm normally doing even right now as I'm sitting here speaking into my phone. When I do these things without scripts, I'm just opening to receive and share, and I'm just allowing my voice to keep following what's coming through. And I got off that call with Mary Gracie for the final test, and I texted my boyfriend Matt, I am the internet. And by which I mean you're the internet. We are the internet. Like we are, like what if you could trust through your channel. You're not going to be able to do this on day one, you know? It comes through practice, and you will continue to push out the edges of the impossible as you practice coming into this truth that you're the internet. You are the internet. Like, at some level, it's like a Google search, you know? The question goes into the box, search button, what comes up? And like, how? What? Reality is getting way magical. And I know that AI is part of this. I don't presume to have any answers. I don't have any answers. I don't really know what's happening. I just know that my reality is feeling so interconnected that the degree to which I would like to receive an insight is it's just interwoven with the degree of trust that I have that I will receive. So receptivity, like your capacity to receive anything that you want, is going to be part of trusting that you're the internet. Like, if there's something you want and you're not allowing yourself to receive it, or you're shaming the fact that you want to receive it, or you're gaslighting your desire to receive it and trying to say that you really don't actually need it and it's fine, all of those receptivity blocks are also part of what the practice is around building this kind of trust, because it's about receptivity. It's about the capacity to sit back inside of yourself and just receive it. And so for me, I feel like everything is fractal in my life, because it's like the practice of receiving visibility, the practice of receiving someone's trust that I can be their leader around whatever, you know, leading you with your astrology skills, leading you learn about the moon, leading you, helping you to trust in your magnetism and your ability to bring through a container for your offering, like, to the degree that I can receive the responsibility of that is going to be part of it. My ability to receive money, my ability to receive Matt's devastating hotness. My ability to receive my reflection in the mirror and be like, hey, you're so beautiful. Like, all of these things are so connected into the practice of I'm just going to sit back and receive, and then share what I receive. And I'm so moved by this, and I feel like I don't know where my career is taking me. I don't know what's ahead, but I do feel that everything has been guiding me towards understanding this all of these 7 years. Everything has been guiding me towards seeing the truth in this and then communicating it. It's like, I feel like I say they because it feels like I have a they team, like a group that talks to me. They're guiding me, and they like me because I share what I learn. They like that I share what I learned. They like that I trust that I have what I need to share now, and I will know more about how to talk about it and what it means later. But I think that they, to take it even wilder, like, listener, I don't know if you want to go there with me, but I think they know you're listening. They like to talk to me, it feels like, because they like the people that I talk to. See, like, I know that sounds quote unquote impossible, right? But we are in the realm of wondering about the word impossible. And it's very like, from my end, I'm not asking you to believe this. I'm asking you, if you're interested in exploring the possibility that there might be something here for you that feels resonant with your truth in this moment, in this lifetime. And maybe that's only a partial aspect of what I'm saying, and the rest of what I'm saying is not for you, and you just ignore it. You don't have to go all the way with me in order to receive something from it. I think sometimes we brace against receiving because we're afraid we're going to have to agree to something that we're not ready to agree to, or we're afraid that we can't agree unless we 100% agree. But what if you don't have to agree 100% to receive, What if you don't have to believe 100% to play? What if actually the helpful framework is just to sense to the degree that something is in affinity and loving for me and exciting for me, even if that's only 2% of someone's wacky idea, I'm going to let that expand me. And that allows us to not be in the rigidities of certainty culture where we feel beholden to being certain before we do anything. Because I feel that's this certainty dogma keeps us from moving forward and expanding. We don't need to be 100% all into anything in order to be expanded by it. We just have to trust ourselves and trust our guidance to help us receive whatever degree of anything could be helpful. And this is also how you can maybe have loved something your teacher taught you, but maybe you and your teacher have a falling out, or the relationship ended and you have a weird feeling about that teacher now. That doesn't mean now you have to throw away 100% of everything that you loved learning from them, We really allow people to just be paradoxical and whole when we don't feel like we have to agree 100% in order to receive something from them. When we can trust ourselves and trust our guides, that we'll only receive to the degree that it will be in resonance with us, and the rest will just slide off and we won't be bothered by it, then we can go through the world with less hypervigilance around not letting in things that we don't want to take in, and just trust that we're magnetizing exactly what's right for us. And we don't have to worry about the rest. It's the same when you sign up for things. If you've been in my containers, I'm constantly talking about unlearning what it means to be a good or bad student. If you trust yourself, then the degree to which you quote unquote got your money's worth has nothing to do with the percent completion that you have. It has to do with trusting that you're going to get what you came for no matter what, because you magnetize to you what's in resonance for you. You trust yourself to do that. You trust your guides to help you. And so even if you only needed a tenth of the whole container to get what you really came for, and you're not really interested in completing the rest, making yourself complete the rest just to get to completion is unloving to your body system and disrespecting of your time and energy, So I feel like this, I am the internet. I'm laughing because it's so wacky. It's about being able to trust in your receptivity. And it's about being able to trust in your expansive capacity and your expansiveness and your expansive frequency that can't help but take you places and help you live at the edges of what's possible. I'm really feeling really excited about sharing all this, and can't wait to re-listen a few times to let it move through me. I did want to share some things that I'm going to have coming up in this fall, and then I'll see if I have any concluding thoughts to wrap up with. I'm sharing these for those of you that I'm just putting it in your space. I'm just setting it on the table, and you can just let it sit there, or you can be I'm taking this, or you can be I don't want it, taking it, putting it in the trash, right? Giving you a sense for what I'm going to be offering so you can start feeling into is your body taking you towards one of these doors? Because I will talk about all these more later. So the doorways that I have coming up. One, I mentioned Underdog to Diva earlier that I'm currently holding. That's a Taurus to Scorpio offering currently. And what I really want to do is make it a full year offering where people sign on for 6 months at a time. And then you have the option to stay on if it's really anchoring you and you're I don't know that I'm complete with this. The vision I'm having is that folks can do 6 months, they can do 2 years. It's about staying in its field. It has a field, Underdog to Diva. In the field that it offers you, if you're in resonance with the field, is very anchoring. It's very anchoring. And the anchoring that you can have in the field of it can allow you to be a more expansive person because you trust that you have this anchor. You're not anchoring in me, Britain. You're anchoring in the field that Underdog to Diva offers. That's an important distinction. So basically, as soon as the one I'm offering now ends at the beginning of October, 2 weeks later, we initiate a new group. It's up to 18 people. I found that when you have 18, it works out so that not everybody usually goes to all the live meetups. And so it ends up being more of 12 people per meetup, which allows everybody the chance to participate. It's a mix of live meetups every 2 to 3 weeks with off-week Q&As. You can submit a Q that I answer to. And then I've prepared 30 to 45 minute sign transmissions for every sign through the Underdog to Diva lens. So you receive a ton. It's extremely anchoring and extremely supportive for you to move into a more expansive frequency with yourself as a creative visionary, bringing your offerings into the marketplace reality in exchange for money, and remembering your divinity in that process. There's really no prerequisite about like, you have to be at this point in your business. Like, it doesn't matter. Everybody's in a different place. We have people who have been running a business for years, but they're moving into a different like way of offering what they're doing. And then we have folks who are like very emergent with what their offering is. They just knew they had to be in the class. So it's really more of a calling than it is like, this is only for these types of people. It's, you get a lot of FaceTime with me. So many of my offerings are asynchronous, or I'm not actually in the space, depending on the offering. This is an offering where you get FaceTime with me 13 times. And then on the off weeks, I answer your questions about what's going on for you. So this is a way to get with me if you really want me to see you, and you really want to know what I would say to you about the thing that's alive in you to bring into the space. So you can already go to Underdog to Diva right now in my website and enroll. There's early bird pricing through October 25th. We don't start till mid-November. We'll take a break at the holidays, and we go into, I believe, early May. Everything's at the course page, and there's only 18 spots, so it'll close once it's full. And we're happy to answer any questions at info@brittonlarue.com. The next thing is that Cave Space is coming back. This is going to be my fourth time, 21, 22, fourth. This will be my fourth time to do my Scorpio season offering Cave Space, which is super, super fun. I mix astrology with storytelling, ritual, ceremony, meditation. We have an experience where the themes are the underworld, Pluto, Scorpio, deep water, Scorpio-Taurus axis. It's very like zesty. It's Mars-Pluto ruled sign here, so it's very like, I have a lot of fun holding it because I feel like if you sign up for a Pluto offering, that means we can talk about anything here. Like, you are not afraid to go there with me. Let's go. So it's an underworld offering. Fourth year, as I said, I do it a little differently every single year. Sometimes I do it very differently. You're going to have the bonus recording from my conversation with Louise last year, which is huge. On the body is the underworld. We meet 5 times live. That's all it is. 5 times live, plus the Louise, plus a couple other teachings I'm throwing in as bonuses. And it's just Scorpio season. So it starts like the 21st of October. I have not opened enrollment yet, but you'll hear more about it. So it's a rare thing for me because it's only 1 month, and most of my offerings are either like one time or they're 3 months or 6 months or 12 months. So the Cave Space is like a lower cost offering with high impact because it's only 1 month. And then finally, I'm really excited to share this super different, unique offering that I'm putting out into the world for only up to 4 people, which is a new offering I'm calling Witch Sister, WITCH. Witch Sister is going to be a 6-month offering. I'm bringing back my 6-month offering. I've done 6-month offerings on and off for years, one-on-one, but I've taken an entire year off of one-on-ones. A year. And this particular offering is specifically for entrepreneurs, artists, creative humans who are really taking their business, their platform to new expansive spaces. This is for those of you who you built this already yourself. You are a builder and you show up to your dreams. You've created all this evidence that your message resonates. Your community loves it. They're showing up for you. They're showing up for what you're bringing through. And you're going to new spaces, new edges with what you bring out in the world. And it would feel way more fun and way more expansive to have me next to you in this walk. You're doing it. It's really about feeling the trust of my expansive field as your witch sister, to be someone who's like an alter ego or like a familiar in fairy tales, who's supporting you, offering strategy, offering oracular support in ways that allow you to trust what you're beaming out at way more expansive fields. So, really pumped to be calling in these individuals. Who's it going to be? I'm only going to have the doors open for Witch Sister for the month of October. Then I'm going to close it. And it's just going to be the up to 4 people who said yes. And I'll open it probably again spring or summer of next year, because I just want to focus on those who come in at the start here. So, hello, come check out the course page. I'm calling it a course page, but it's an experiential page. And I just know it's going to be incredibly profound for both of us. I also have a secondary one-on-one that I'm going to be doing that's going to have an open enrollment called Promo Mage. I may change the name, but it's based on promo magic. And y'all know I love promo. I have a very expansive relationship to promo. And I wanted to create an 8-week container for folks who are they've got a really big promo coming up. This is not for beginners at promo. You already know how to do promo. You have lots of experience doing promo. This is really for you if this one's going to be really big for you. It's a big deal. And that's what's really scary, is you're really letting this super authentic thing come in. And we have 8 weeks together, one-on-one. We're doing strategy. I'm looking at copy, but also I'm just helping you really amp up this authentic voice and really clarify and crystallize how powerful this is. And just my presence with you is helping you trust that, believe in it. It's inevitable. It's coming through. It's so worth this investment to you, because you're going to make so much more money because of the trust that you've now expanded into in having me by your side. So yeah, that one's going to be open enrollment, and what it's going to be about is getting on my calendar based on 8 weeks out from your launch. So it's if you know that your big launch is in February, then reach out to me now so that you can guarantee that we can start in December. So you see what I mean there? So it's sort of like you have to have at least 8 weeks out from when the launch is to know you want to work with me. And what I'm visualizing is that I'm always really busy with this. So there's always going to be a limit in how many people that I can take in a given sector of the year to be working on it with, because it's going to require a lot of my attention and a lot of my space holding. So I'm only going to be able to take up to 4 of Witch Sister and only maybe 2 a month of launch Promo Mage, because I don't want to be overwhelmed by it. I want to give those who sign up my very grounded energy where I can just receive and share in ways that will support you. So these just feel really exciting to me because I really want to support people who have big fucking goals, and let's amp that up in an unshamed way. I'm here to help you not be ashamed for how ambitious these dreams are of yours, and help you feel confident in amplifying what is basically this funky thing that the world hasn't seen before, because it's coming from your authentic place. All right. I am the internet. Thank y'all. Let me feel into if I have any closing thoughts on this. Yeah, I think what feels so moving to me about it is just the audacity to trust that we are so supported, We are so supported, especially this is going to be confrontational to all the parts of you who have stories about how you're not supported. That's the confrontation. That's the confrontation. To the parts of you, it's not the whole you, but the parts of you who don't believe support is available, who don't believe that, quote unquote, someone like me could be supported in fill in the blank. Those parts of you that don't think that's possible, that are committed to seeing yourself as not supported, are going to find I Am the Internet confrontational. But that doesn't mean that all of you finds it confrontational, right? It's just the parts of you that have pain from the past. And so it's a practice. The practice of holding all of these parts of you and having relationships with all of these parts of you is what brings you along into these edges of possibility around support. And so it's very radical to me, because it's a way of really destroying the old temples that we worship to, that were built from our pain, and choosing to see reality differently. All right. Thank you so much. If you love Moon to Moon and you've never done a rating or review, I would be so grateful if you would take a second right now as you close out this episode to please do so. It's such a sweet treat for me to receive. I actually squeal. And it's extremely helpful to this podcast because it's a real thing that we all look at reviews when we're thinking about listening to something. And having lots of reviews is very helpful, and having recent reviews is really helpful. So I would be so grateful if you would take a moment to do that. If you enjoy Moon to Moon, and you haven't done it yet. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the best as you close out this lunar cycle and move into the next whenever you're listening to this. Cheers.